Evening, everyone. I'd like to call the Village of Lannon board meeting to order for Monday, April 8th, 2024 at 7 p.m. Rise for the pledge of allegiance, please remove your hat here.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If everyone would please check their phones, make sure they're on silence, please. Roll call.
Roby. Here. Grenier. Here. Lake. Here. Martin. Nellis. Yates.
Yes. And we will conduct the swearing in of the new elected trustees.
I'm gonna give you a copy so that you can read it after, because there's way too much to. I'm up here. Like go here and share it. That's fine. Raise your right hands and I state your name. Tia Moore.
Summers.
Terry Lanier. Having been elected to the office of village trustee. You can repeat after me, sorry.
Okay, having been elected to, appointed to this office of trustee.
Having been elected to the office of trustee.
Having been elected or appointed to the office of trustee,
Swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
Swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
Swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
And the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin.
And the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin.
And the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin.
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
And will faithfully and impartially discharge duties of said office to the best of my abilities, so help me God.
And will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability. So help me God.
And will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability, so help me God.
and will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Okay, and then I just need you guys to fill out the top part and then I will notarize.
Congratulations to our newly elected trustees and thank you for your willingness to serve. Brenda, statement of public notice.
And it has been posted.
Item 5, discussion and possible action on reading, correction, and approval of the minutes from the 3/11/24 village board meeting. I have a motion to approve.
A second.
In a second, any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries to read the minutes. Committee reports, finance and personnel.
We will cover it on items 9 and 18.
Motion and second, yeah. We did all in favor and then vote, yeah, motion carried, yep. Committee reports, finance personnel, you said legislative. That's gonna be open as of now. Parks, Recs, and beautification.
For my report, we are continuing to work on the banners for Main Street. It'll celebrate summer and winter seasons in Lannon. Proceeds will come from donations from the car show and some from possibly ARPA funds that were earmarked for beautification of the community. Any design ideas are welcomed at clake@villageoflannon.com. If anybody has any ideas of what they'd like to see on those banners, I'm in the process of designing them and would welcome any input. We are looking at pickleball bids for the possible resurfacing of the tennis courts. Any feedback from the community would be welcomed. Baseball season has begun. You can view the schedule of the games and practices online by visiting lannonstoneman.com. On May 4th is the village-wide rummage sale. If anyone wants to register their location, they can email me at clake@thevillageoflannon.com. I'm going to be producing a map that will have, and will be providing directional signs free of charge that can be picked up from the village hall on May 1st for anyone who signs up in advance. July 28th is Cars on Main. September 14th is the 3K awareness walk for mental health. We did have a meeting on Saturday, March 16th regarding the business guide and welcome to Lannon package that I would like to propose we put together for new residents and existing residents. In addition to the committee members, we were joined by 4 residents. It was decided in the meeting that I'll go ahead and design the book and we will put it as a virtual book online available through the village website. And then if we decide that we are able to sell ads to businesses and gather some money together, we can actually publish a physical guide, but we are abandoning that at this point in lieu of just getting something done that people can access online. April 22nd is Earth Day. Parks, Recreation and Beautification Committee encourages all residents to do their part by cleaning up any errant garbage that may be on their properties, along their roadways, or in the streets gutters of our community. If we all just do a little bit, the impact will be substantial. If any residents are interested in helping to organize an annual spring cleanup, please email me at clake@villageoflannon and we can work together to make that happen. I'm also working this week. I have 2 meetings with contractors to talk about some deferred maintenance on this building. And I will be bringing those to the next meeting, those bids to the next meeting. And that's all I have.
Colleen. Public safety. Report here tonight, Public Works, Recycling and Sewer.
Nothing at this time.
Alright, Corey.
Nothing at this time.
Department reports, clerk's office.
Utility bills will go out by the end of the week, fingers crossed. My auditors will be in the office this week, doing the financial audit for 2023. Next month, I will be bringing some stuff to the board for the copier contract that is up, that will get some more books. And also some Spectrum stuff for phone internet that they are looking at. Other than that, I think that's it. Open book is April 26th from 9 to 11, or to meet with the assessor to talk about assessments, if you have a problem with yours. And then part of review will be in May.
Good. Thank you, Brenda. Police Department.
The March crime summary has been published. Also, in the way of upcoming events, we have Coffee with a Cop coming up this weekend on the 14th at 9 a.m. It's an informal opportunity for citizens to come and speak to a number of us that are going to be on hand about their concerns, events for the year, gauge interest in classes we teach, such as concealed weapons and active shooter, that sort of thing. Also, we finalized the date for our national night out this year, which is going to be Wednesday, August 7th at the Village Park. Flag.
Thank you, Chief. Citizens' comments. This is meant for public comments on any subject without any discussion by board of trustee members or action except for possible referral to a governmental body or village agent. Got Mr. Summers is signed up here.
Question I have, Patrick, I talked to you about it before the last meeting, we haven't gotten a response the first Saturday of March. My water was absolutely atrocious, it smelled like acid.
Yeah.
Second Saturday, the chlorine smell in my bathroom was so bad, make your eyes water. Seems to happen when it rains on the low spot. Not the first time we've had this conversation. I want to know what's being done.
I spoke to Sarah about this last week and she's got some test strips she's gonna make available to you.
Did you find anything for water samples, containers that I could use?
She can get those as well.
Thank you.
So I'll let her know that she can get them to me or the clerk's office and we'll get those to you.
I'm through Butler every day. I could stop by if she was got them.
Waukesha County has sample bottles as well that you can do through the county. Just sample water. I think we
Do
may
we
have.
have any of those?
We
here
may
still?
have some. here.
We do, yeah. We have a few.
Those can be submitted to the county for free.
There's, yeah, I believe to the county.
Any other public citizen comments? No, okay. Item 9. Consideration of updates to the village's personnel manual and possible action to adopt the same.
At the last meeting, we went through this and it was requested to add to section 9.2 vacations or holidays, actually. Add Good Friday, add the day after Thanksgiving, add Christmas Eve and add New Year's Eve. And Brenda has done that. So it is up to date. There also was some question about police manual possibility of that being combined. And today I spent some time with Chief Val. And if we did that, our manual will look like, as he put it, a telephone book. There's a lot of policies, procedures, and it's not just local, it's state, it's federal. It's just too much to combine it into our employee handbook.
So I would like to get, personally, I'd like to get this moving forward and in place. I would make one further recommendation though that I did notice today, and I apologize for not catching this sooner, but it appears that amongst some of the edits that we have made along the way, the table of contents no longer aligns with the contents. So, short of some corrections to the table of contents, I think we're there.
Okay, so do you want to table this without, for that question, or you want to do?
I would prefer to move it forward and then we just get the table of contents corrected. All the substantial contents are where we want them. That's my opinion.
So I will make a motion that we approve conditionally the Village of Landon Personnel Manual as presented with the correction of the table of contents for verification that it lines up properly. Other than that, I would move that we accept this personnel manual. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
The only discussion I have is, Brenda, can you do that, or do you have to do that?
Nope, I can.
After.
Can be done with the stuff with the program,
You can do that, Brenda?
from what I know.
Mhm.
Okay,
It's just an extra step.
okay.
Any other discussion?
The one thing that I needed to point out too is that there's an employee acknowledgement form in here. That we would like every employee to date and sign that they've received the employee handbook, they've read it. you know, and, we can have that on hand in their personnel file. So that's in the manual.
Excellent. Any other discussion?
I have,
Yes, sir.
I just want to bring to everyone's attention, line, 546 on page 13. Something that is common sense, but it's been reduced to writing. And it's now enforceable upon adoption in the daily operations of the village. You may have to use or have access to confidential information. Your supervisor will help you understand what information accessible to you is to be considered confidential. It is the responsibility of everybody from an ethical and legal standpoint to safeguard and use confidential information properly. Whether it is reproducing copies or communicating in other ways, common sense should prevail in protecting the interests of the village and its personnel from unauthorized intrusion and access into confidential matters. I just want to point that out because that is, again, as I said, common sense, but because we have a small village hall, people may be exposed to information, and it's incumbent upon them to treat it as such. That's all I have.
I will also take the opportunity to bring up one reminder if I can find exactly where it was. Now probably. Well, I will just go over it. In the past, and this is mostly for the benefit of some of the newer trustees, we want to make sure when we're communicating via email, whenever you're sending communications and you want to disseminate information to a number of board members, you should be doing so in a manner that's not going to violate open meeting rules. So what you should do, or what I try to do, is I send it to myself and I blind carbon copy the other trustees. Okay, that way, I know sometimes we've had discussions, start to get going and we can't do that. And that is outlined in here. It's under internet use. I think it's in the appendix, actually, appendix C. So just be mindful of that. Any other discussion, or have we beat this to death yet? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries to adopt the personnel manual with the conditional changes and disseminate accordingly. Item number 10, discussion and possible action on beer and wine license for the Pink Flamingo on Main Street.
I handed you the applications that I received today, for the meeting. It's not open, it's not gonna be an open to the public kind of thing. It's for the people who are taking classes there, that it is available to them. So that's where they were going with that.
Make a motion to approve the license.
We have a motion to approve the license application.
I will second.
We have a second. Any further discussion? So does this count as the use of one of our
No.
licenses,
No,
or
it's
this is
not a
just
liquor
a
license.
temporary, right?
Yep, it's just a beer.
Any other
Does
discussion?
this have to go to the chief of police to review?
He will look at that.
Okay.
Do they pay for the license?
Yeah, there's a fee.
There's a
so-
fee.
Yeah, the processing.
Which is obviously related.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Party on.
Have a great day. We'll see you all there.
Item 12, discussion of possible action regarding letter of credit reduction number 3 for Overstone condominiums phase 3. You Ben?
I'm
You wanna do
What
that?
about the other one?
Yeah, there's another,
Did I miss one?
number 11.
Oh, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
sorry. Discussion and possible action on operator's license for Danielle Paul for land and beef. Sorry about that, everyone.
And she passed on this background check we had issued for a provisional, a couple weeks ago, so this is just the final.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Now, item 12. Discussion of possible action regarding letter of credit reduction number 3 for Overstone condominium phase 3.
Okay, there may be a lot of materials in your packet, and I apologize for that. There's really just one document that's necessary for this discussion. Everything else is kind of the background material that we reviewed to verify that the reduction request that Overstone condominiums is requesting is reasonable. So they've asked for a reduction of $108,029.93. That would bring the total reduction to date to over 1.8 million of their slightly over $1.9 million ask. It just signifies that, as everyone probably knows, they're getting down to the end here. We're pretty much down to the final list to lift the asphalt in phase 3. So the value of remaining improvements is $107,180. We asked for some follow-up documentation, and they provided us their contractor quotes from the asphalt company that gave us a level of comfort that we feel that we could recommend that this be reduced. Now, we have prepared a letter which would need to go on village letterhead. So there'll be a little admin work after action tonight. So an appropriate motion would be it could be as simple as reducing the letter of credit phase 3 as discussed, or if you want to put a dollar amount in there, I would say reduce the letter of credit such that the remaining letter of credit amount is $107,180.
Yes.
And I would add, and that the letter that you have before you, March 25th, be authorized for signature by the village president.
Do we have a motion?
I would be happy to forward the motion that the letter of credit amount be reduced for Berg Development to leave a remainder of $107,180, and that the letter on Village of Land and letterhead be authorized to be executed and signed by President Patrick Yates. Is that okay?
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I will second.
We have a motion, a second. Any other discussion or questions? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Discussion of possible action regarding payment application 6 for Mid-City contract 1-2020.
Okay, in your packets is an unsigned version of the contractor's application for payment number 6. This is for Mid-City, and the contract is related to the work ongoing at both of the village's well houses. Now, it is unsigned because it does involve some work that was previously authorized in a change order, which the village has already approved, but we're waiting USDA approval of that change order. So my request tonight is going to be that you would approve the pay requests on the condition that the USDA accepts the change order. If you all follow. I just don't want to push this off another month, and then that way the village could basically pay this once the USDA concurs with the change order. Also in the packet are some supporting documentation here. And you'll notice on page 2 that they just errantly put a on the bond and insurance and project management category. They errantly left $1,000 being claimed this period that was already claimed last period. I went through this over the phone with Sarah Nunn, and all of the totals are unaffected. What you see on page 2 is the total for the lump sum bid items. So on page 2, this is their schedule of values breakdown and sort of like a progress payment, so to speak. The lump sum value of this is the $284,150. On the last page of this is another breakdown of the unit price work. And this includes some of the things that were cash allowances and some of the additional items such as Whispering Ridge sidewalk and upgrades, et cetera, that were authorized via change order. So the amount played and stored to date on that one is $138,078.15. So the total payment to date is $422,228.15. Of which they're claiming on this specific application is $55,985.63. There's still slightly over $20,000 in retainage, retainage plus the remaining work is $98,000. So approximately $77,000 in work items remaining. So the action that I would request of the board is to approve the application 6 for Mid-City in the amount of $55,985.63 on the condition that USDA approves the change.
Directly, you started the comment earlier, just have a comment.
No, Mr. Wood covered it. Thank you.
And I'll just add for color commentary, the generator purchase at Whispering Ridge is part of this change order. And the hangup that USDA expressed about that is they're fine with everything else in the change order, but they want some assurance that the generator is actually going to get installed. So for those of you that might remember from a previous meeting, we're going to purchase this generator on this contract, but install it on a separate contract. So we're just working through that. You know, again, as I always like to say, USDA is the bank. They want to know that something that they're buying is actually going to be put in service. So that's the step that we're
Where's it going to be installed?
So I know we previously talked about the potential of putting it down below and maybe taking up a parking space. We actually did is working with Mid-City and our electrical engineers to review the code requirements. It's going to go in a similar location. It's going to go up at the loading dock level, but the loading dock level is going to have to get extended a little bit. So right now where there's rocked landscape slope kind of going from the parking lot grade down low up to that concrete pad, that's going to have to get built out with a retaining wall and that cement pad extended, but it'll be up top.
So you're not taking a parking?
Correct.
Okay.
And the reason for that is simply that the building codes have changed since when that was first built, and the clear space requirements around the generator are
Will
high.
that allow that generator?
Probably when it's running.
But it would only run in the case of a failure.
Right.
I believe it.
Like it's
real
noisy now when it pulls off.
Right, it'll be similar.
Okay.
And others in the room will know better than I what the normal kind of protocol is for exercising the generator. If that's once a month is kind of what I have in my mind, but it runs for about an hour once a month, and then obviously during emergencies.
All right, well, I would then make a motion that the village board approve contractor's application for payment number 6 in the amount of $55,985.63. Contingent on the approval of the change order being reviewed by the USDA.
Good motion and second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 14, discussion of possible action regarding update on Whispering Ridge Well House electrical upgrades project.
So I just wanted to have this as a general update. So the schedule of delivery for the generator is approximately December, by the end of the year. Again, to rehash what we've been through in past meetings is that we're anticipating that the USDA project financing is basically extended through April of 2025 to accommodate this. So we're expecting that the full of the electrical upgrades project will be ready to go to bid in approximately August. And that the generator will be installed within that 6 to 8 month time frame thereafter, and that the rest of the electrical upgrade and the SCADA project will continue on from that point. I checked in with Sarah at Mid City on this this afternoon. And they were just going back and forth on a couple of things in the submittal with Strand. So I was previously under the impression they had gone ahead and purchased the generator, but they just gave us a resubmittal about a week ago. So it'll be here within a week that they'll be ready to actually order it, but they said the lead time should still be doable by the end of this year. So that's all I have for you on that one.
Thank you. Item 15, discussion of possible action regarding USDA RD contingency period project to extend water main on West Good Hope Road. And to act on a resolution of the use of streets and alleys related to the project.
Okay, so USDA contingency funds are being planned for extending the water main on Good Hope Road west of Main Street. We're going to take it as far as we can, but approximately past the bug line trail, and we're designing it to go in so far as to CTW. We may not get that far, but that's how far we're designing it. So USDA being the bank, they want to make sure that you have the right to install the facilities where you're planning to, since they're financing it. So what I've printed out is a right-of-way map from the original project back in 2018, 2019, that was part of our application to USDA. And it is just like an overview map for a guide that we provided to USDA of all the proper documentation saying that the village has rights to all of the land that it plans on doing any of the work on. So for that time, we had to work through giving them proof that the village owned the land in a state's parcel, for example. Part of what they require you to do, silly though it may sound, is prove to them that you have rights to put public utilities within your own public streets under your own jurisdiction. So this map was largely completed, the first go around, but it didn't contemplate contingency water main. So all I've done on this water map, and you're free to come look at this if you want, is it just shown that this local water main, last time we just kind of stopped where the existing water main was. Now we just, for being really conservative, just so show the entire portion of Good Hope Road all the way to Town Line, which is under local jurisdiction. So that's the only change on this. Now, this map requires signature by me, by the village president, and by the village attorney. That's step 1 out of 3 of proving to the USDA that you have right to put the water main in your own right of way. Step 2 is the resolution that's in your packet. It's a resolution for use of streets and alleys. Hector, I apologize for not discussing this with you up front. This is a standard USDA form that they require. It's fairly short form. I don't know if you would recommend reading it aloud or not. But it is basically a resolution by the village board saying that it approves the use of its streets to put water main in the ground.
I think for the record, it might be good just to read it.
Okay.
So that everyone knows.
I'd be happy to do so unless someone with a microphone would like to. All right. Okay. The undersigned, fill in the blank, hereby, and that would be the Village of Lannon, hereby certifies, except as noted in item 4 below, number 1, that the undersigned has acquired and presently holds continuous and adequate rights of way on private lands needed for the construction, operation, and maintenance of the facilities to be installed, repaired, or enlarged with the proceeds of a loan made by or insured by and or a grant from the United States Department of Agriculture, and such omissions, defects, and restrictions as may exist will in no substantial way or manner endanger the value of the operation of the facilities. Let me pause to say the facilities of the water main and the service laterals are intended to be installed within public right of way. 2, that the undersigned has acquired the necessary permits, franchises, and authorizations or other instruments by whatsoever name designated from public utilities and public bodies, commissions, or agencies authorizing the construction, operation, and maintenance of the facilities upon, along, or across streets, roads, highways, and public utilities. 3, that the attached right-of-way map, being this, shows the location and description of all land and rights of way acquired by right of use or adverse possession or by legal conveyance such as right of way or easement deeds, permits, or other instruments. Paragraph 4, exceptions, there are none. Witness whereof application hereunto affixes its name and corporate seal this 8th day of April 2024 by presumably Patrick Yates, village president. The test would be secretary.
With regards to the form, I did receive your map. And you have an extension on the Hope Road.
Yep.
Now, the cross markings given beside the print are just from east to west. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And Strand has confirmed that that territory is all right of way.
What we have confirmed is that Good Hope Road is under the jurisdiction of the village,
Okay.
not of the county in this area. Now, there are certain parcels where the property line goes out to the center line of the road.
Mhm.
But the water main is going within the roadway. And I believe there's a presumed 66 foot wide right of way standard
Yes.
for this road, and everything is being installed within that 66 feet right of way.
And when this document makes reference to private property, do you understand that this means a lot that abut the road, which have a dedicated portion of it, serving as a right of way?
Let me say it back to you how I think I heard it. The only private property involved would be those instances where the property owner technically shows on their deed that they own to the center line of the road.
Okay. And this form provides for exceptions. Are there any exceptions?
I'm not aware of any exceptions. And then I will add, so this is step 1, resolution is step 2. Step 3 will actually be a signed opinion of council, where you'll kind of review this whole packet, et cetera, with ample time to get it to USDA.
And then there's a notification process or something also, right? That has that happen or,
Not as part of the right of way.
okay.
Ben, if I could ask in regards to item number 2, are there any other authorizations that we need to get from the state or the county or anything in order to do this? Just out of
That's a great
curiosity.
question. So there are other utilities that exist within the right of way, namely We Energies, I think there's a fiber optic in there, et cetera. But Lannon owns the roadway. Lannon has ultimate jurisdiction. Because Lannon is the owner of the right of way, if any of those things were in conflict, we wouldn't need their permission. We would be telling them, hey, you now have to move your stuff out of the way.
Okay, thank you.
Let's see, the other question about state or county, again, because this is local jurisdiction and because part of, I believe, the extensions that were done in 2007, the water main was already extended outside of the Main Street right of way, which is county. It was already extended a couple hundred feet west on Good Hope Road, so there are no county right of way conflicts.
Thank you.
Even though it's County W?
So it's at County W actually stops right here at Main Street. Right? Stops or starts depending on what time. Just a couple other points on overall project update with where we're at. So we've completed our 30% design plans for this, which means we've kind of laid out where exactly the water main would go relative to the existing storm, sanitary, and other gas power utilities. We've laid out where all the water services would go, the size of the water services. On Friday, we put in the mail notice letters to each of the property owners along the route with a little excerpt from the plans showing them what's intended for their property and asking them for their confirmation or comments if they want their lateral a different size or in a different location. It's anticipated that this project will be ready to advertise approximately May, end of May. And it's a short enough project that the expectation is that it'll get built yet this year.
Do you want to address the plans for restoration after that? I think we were talking about just doing a trench pad.
Yep, good point.
temporarily, right? But
So this all ties in with that grant award that the village got from DOT, $4.9 million toward the reconstruction of the section of Good Hope Road that's under local jurisdiction that would go all the way to Town Line Road. That is going to get constructed in federal fiscal year 2028-29. And forgive me, I don't know offhand, I know it's September, but I don't know what actual calendar year that aligns with. That means it starts in 27, or if it starts in September 28th. But at any rate, that kind of hastened along the need to, or shall I say, the affirmation that yes, the village is doing the right thing by going ahead and doing the water main ahead of time. But then it also means, unlike the water main extensions that were part of the Vinton contract, where in local roads, there was a full width mill and overlay. Since this road is going to be full depth reconstructed, which means all of the pavement is coming out, all of the curb and gutter is coming out. Any poor base material is coming out, it's being completely redone. It means that we're just gonna put a trench patch in, which means that Good Hope Road will continue to have a rough ride for 25, 26, and 27 until that gets reconstructed. Caveat to that, as I just found out, depends a little bit on the method that a contractor may use for rock removal. They have a giant, essentially a giant ditch witch type thing that they can use to rip rock out of the bottom of trenches, and apparently that can be hard on the road surface and might necessitate greater width of pavement restoration.
Lot to digest. Any questions? Okay, do we have a, let's see, we're circling back around.
So the resolution is the actionable item here.
Yep. And this right of way certificate is a precursor to the resolution, correct? I think that's the way you laid it out.
The right of way certificate, I believe, is the resolution.
Okay.
I'm using the US. So interestingly, the document itself does not actually contain the word resolution, but rural development names this form in their database, form RD 442-21, resolution of use of streets and alleys. But it does require board approval.
Okay, so do you want me to take a swing at that? Seriously, yes. My new location here as we talkative, I guess. I would like to forward a motion that the village board accept form RD 442-21 to act for to have Village of Lannon signed by our attorney and President Yates to verify that we have, we can execute the resolution of the use of streets and alleys related to the project. Is that okay? We probably put about 3 more sentences in there.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Questions? Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
So a note for Patrick and for Hector. The 2 documents need to be signed in a particular order. So I would ask that before you leave tonight, just stop by and sign this map.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, item 16. Follow-up item, discussion and possible action regarding geotechnical boring proposal for Good Hope Road water mains. This is again in conjunction with this project. Ben?
Yep, so what we're doing is asking the same company for a proposal that did all the geotechnical borings throughout the rest of the village. The reason for this is that they would be able to just have some efficiency in completing their geotechnical report because they can just amend it with this extra information. So we asked for borings to go to a depth of 15 feet for auger refusal. With the anticipation, well, let me first say, we're doing the full length of Good Hope Road to town line. So that information will be useful when the village does the rest of the water main, et cetera. It's anticipated on the west end, as you go up the hill, they might get a little more depth out of the boring before they hit that bedrock, et cetera. So they have submitted a proposal accordingly in the amount of. Find it here. Apologize.
$14,005.
There you go.
We should negotiate over that $5.
Take that up.
I think we should just make it an even 14 grand.
So they will be complete with their borings by the end of the month here, and they'll have a report to us. Approximately middle of May.
And the funding for this is coming from the USDA monies, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So to be specific about that, USDA will continue to categorize this as a quote unquote soft cost. So the village will pay this and then submit receipt to reimbursement to the USDA. When it comes to the contract, the water main contracts, those payouts will go straight to USDA and they'll pay them directly.
And do you feel the amount of 14,000 is commensurate with the work that's being proposed in the scope?
I do.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I have a few questions. They make reference to the option of the village to have them monitor the work while it's being done. And that option is not included here. Can you explain the background as to why that option was not taken up?
Certainly. I believe it's an offering for additional services during water main construction. So on the rest of the project, it's when the water main's going in, there are specifications on the exact material they're supposed to backfill the trench with, and then compaction methods, procedures, and then compaction testing to actually prove that they've hit the specified density, et cetera. So I believe it's related to that. And when the time comes, we will have that service. But it's not necessary at this stage.
Technically, the document itself limits liability in section 8.0 through 22.0. Was that an issue previously when the work was done?
I'm just reviewing that here quickly. When the work was previously done, okay, so what would be relevant is paragraph 8.3, which says client waives, releases, or discharges ECS from and against any claim for damage, injury, or loss allegedly arising from or related to subterranean structures, pipes, tanks, cables, or other utilities, which are not called to ECS's attention in writing by client, not correctly shown on the underground utility information, and or not properly marked or located by the utility owners, governmental or quasi-governmental locators, or private utility locating services as a result of ECS or its subcontractors' request for utility marketing services made in accordance with local industry standards. So what did happen the first go around, some folks might recall up here on Vine Street in front of or near Dave Bartel's property. They bored through the end cap of a stubbed out water main, and it caused the system to drain rather quickly. And I know from reviewing that situation, the utility wasn't marked and they hit it. And I believe this paragraph is basically trying to say if a situation like that were to happen, it wasn't marked. It should have been marked, we hit it. It's not our liability.
So what precautions or steps will the village be undertaking to mark such installations, utility and otherwise?
Sure, the utility has a utility marking locating company that it uses to mark out its existing public utilities. So part of what we've done is we've requested drawings from all the utilities that are in the right of way, both from We Energies, from the known other cable or internet service providers in the area. And we have record drawing information, etc. Strand asked all those companies to come out and mark. We've surveyed them. We've shown those on our drawings. ECS will be required when they go back out to do this work to call for all those locates again. And the locating companies will have to come back out and repaint on the ground where everything is at. And the way things are supposed to work is they're not supposed to do any borings until those utility companies close the communication loop to let ECS, who requests the locates, to let them know we've gone out, we've located everything. Essentially, in the trade, they say until the ticket clears. So that's really the only precaution that I'm aware of that can be taken.
And given the feedback that you've received from the various utilities and so forth, have you identified potential conflicts as to where you're contemplating placement of a water line versus whatever else may be in the ground?
Yes, we have. We've laid that out, and we've kind of laid out an approach where our water main is tentatively anticipated to go just a couple feet on the north side of the center line. There's a gas main that goes in the westbound travel lane, which is on the north side of the center line. The sanitary sewer runs in the eastbound travel lane. And there's enough room in between those two to get the water in and maintain all the proper separation distances.
Thank you.
And we've shared that alignment with ECS.
I have some questions, Ben.
Sure.
On the utility clearance, we got Digger's Hotline.
Yeah.
We all know what that does here, but it mentions in here, they will not be responsible for any utilities not marked or not pointed out to us by the landowner or client. What if the landowner doesn't know?
In this
Because
case,
he might have just purchased the house.
well, in this case, it's only the village of Landon. So
Okay.
they're only drilling along the water main alignment, which is close to the center line.
Okay, and then on your map here that you were showing, it said in here, they will screen the collected soil samples, the borings,
Mhm.
for the presence of volatile organic compound.
Yep.
If they find any, how do they dispose of it and at whose cost?
So if they find any, then they work with an environmental subcontractor, and that gets billed as in addition to their contracted $14,005
Okay,
at essentially time and materials.
okay, because along in there, we have, an auto body, we have, that towing company. That, and the other question I had is, these borings that they're gonna do,
Mhm.
will this disturb any of the wells that are along, the private wells, because there's homes along in there. On not only the one side of the road, but on the other side too.
Yeah, good question. It's far enough away that it shouldn't have any impact, and it's only going down to 15 feet.
Right.
Which I believe even the older wells, which are non-conforming, go deeper than the 15 feet.
Mhm.
And beyond that, they don't, they're not like pumping anything out. They're not using a vacuum truck or anything. It's literally a core sampler and an auger. And then when they're done, they backfill the hole with the bentonite material.
Okay, and then the other thing I highlighted was some post-drilling settlement of the boreholes should be expected and may require future maintenance to repair any settlement and prevent a tripping hazard. This maintenance is not included in our scope of service or fees. I'm assuming that that would be additional? If
Correct.
that happens?
And it wouldn't be by them, it would be something that the village would handle as part of its like road patching, et cetera.
Yeah.
So once you see one of these, you'll start to see them a lot of places you go. But they're about a 4 to 6 inch diameter hole
Mhm.
that just looks like, hey, why is there a perfect circle asphalt patch right there? Or concrete patch, et cetera, depending on where you are. There was actually a geotechnical boring at one point, and if you drive that, you'll actually see a couple that were done 5, 10-ish years ago. And you'll see those and you'll kind of get a feel for what they're talking about. And in layman's terms, they're saying, we're drilling a hole through your road, but we're geotechnical engineers, we don't patch roads, so they kind of do a temporary restoration and then the rest is up to the village.
I asked about the personal wells because I know there are some wells that are only 60 feet.
60 to 80.
You know, which
Sure.
are shallow.
Yep.
Here, number one, and wasn't there a home along in there that he went dry? His
Yeah,
well went
he's-
dry and he begged to have water run.
These are pretty shallow. These are really just to determine what kind of conditions they're gonna run into when they do their trenching to run water. They're
Okay.
not boring for
Yeah,
water.
Yeah.
To find water.
I just wonder if that'll disturb anything.
Should,
Okay.
I mean, I suppose.
to expand on that, they look to see. What materials are down there for the sake of determining for the contractor, what are the trenching conditions? So if it's a nice stiff clay, they know that they can, the contractor will know they can work with a fairly narrow trench. If it's a rather loose, gravelly type material, then the contractor there knows that they're at risk for trench cave-ins. And every time that happens, you know, the trench width at the surface gets wider and wider, which means more road restoration for them. And then the other thing is the presence of groundwater, so they know that. You know, if they run into groundwater in the geotechnical borings, they know, okay, in order for their personnel to work down in the trench, they might need to de-water. Depending on the rate of dewatering, that can require an extra DNR permit. And then, of course, as everyone speculates in land, and the most important issue is, where's the bedrock?
We're just gonna say they're only gonna go to refusal,
Right,
which along there, some places are only gonna be 3 or 4 feet.
right,
Well, I do know that when we had to dig in the well, they had water at 12. At 12
Sure.
feet by us, and you're talking 15 feet.
Yeah.
And they obviously went deeper,
right,
but they first impacted water at 12 feet.
sure,
And same thing was true when we hooked it to sewer. They had to drain. They had to run a pump. In order to dry that out, to make the connection dry
right,
for our sewer, because water was hit so quickly.
Right.
Where I live, and I'm on a little bit of a hill,
sure.
But the water's because of the bedrock.
right,
It's on top of the bedrock.
right. But that's the reason for my question
Mhm.
on that.
Certainly.
Any other questions about the proposal from ECS?
Do we need to take action on this?
Yes. Would entertain a motion to approve this.
I'll make a motion that we approve geotechnical board to do the Good Hope Road water main.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any other discussion or questions? We'll move on. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Discussion of possible action on deduct meters or discount for summer watering. So this has been brought up a couple of times before. Brenda has been doing some work, looking into that with Workhorse and what some other communities do, and I believe is ready to report on that.
So I talked to Workforce and it is basically just a couple of clicks of the button and the programming of which periods you want to cover, to which periods, what your different will be, what the discount will be. You can just, once you have it set up, just hit seasonal rates and it'll hit the seasonal rates and calculate them automatically for the summer months, and then just click it back for the next billing period. So the program functions as that you can provide it.
And would that then be limited to billing periods, or can you have that crossover
You
billing
can have it
periods as well?
crossover. You can have it cross over to different periods. We only bill quarterly, so the information they're going to compare is going to be quarter to quarter, where you can do 2 quarters, or you can just, you know, do the one. For some communities bill monthly where they can pick a certain time frame. But you can still pick those quarters and then they would compare it. And if you're not using any more water than you did, then you don't have that discount. But if you do use more water, then you would get that discount on your sewer line, your sewer cost. So the system does do it. It is.
Well, that's the question, right? What, you know, do we want to do that? What months do we want to include in that? And then what percentage of a discount do we want to do?
July, August. The most times you water.
Yes, sir.
Brenda, are you able to identify the water users from the system who still have wells and have not converted their well either by abandoning them or applying for a permit?
I do not, but that spreadsheet that we've been working off of, we know who has well permits, and I think Mid-City was gonna kind of go through that to see which ones they have abandoned and which ones they haven't. But for our purposes in the system, even if they have a well, they're still hooked up to municipal water. So those that are all on the municipal water are in there, but we don't have them identified as having wells, you know, for outdoor use.
My recall comment made previously was that we had about a half a dozen people that had applied for the well permits, and well over 100 people who still have wells and have not either abandoned them or applied for a permit.
I don't know the number of them that have not been abandoned by Mid-City. I don't think we have that final number yet, but I know there were some that were applied for who didn't follow through the whole process and are still open pending, you know, kind of thing, that they never finished that process. We have 7 that completed it completely.
I believe that number is roughly correct.
The reason why I raise this is the administration of the reduction. Right now, we're going through litigation to compel parties that do not connect in a timely fashion. And the next wave of enforcement that we're contemplating is compelling people to either abandon their wells or get them documented so that we don't have a continued operation of contaminated wells. Here, I think you may be holding back on doing anything until you sorted out this other situation. Because it seems to me that if people who have wells are watering without registering them, why an additional discount?
Well, I think the people have to understand that the discount is not gonna be water. It's gonna be on their sewer charge.
That's true, but it's still revenue that the village does not receive for its utilities.
I think that the other thing we have to keep in mind too, though, is it operates, I think I understood this correctly, Brenda, that what triggers the application of the discount percentage is an increase in use over a previous period.
Correct.
So, if they were in fact using their, a well, whether it was conforming or non-conforming, the presumption would be that they wouldn't have an increase in usage anyway, and therefore wouldn't receive a discount.
And also the main drivers are new homes, new construction, not per se, not the water main extension. It's like the new homes, the new condos who are pushing for, you know, that because they have to water and establish their landscape, grass, etc. So I think that's where we've been seeing the drive from.
Yeah, I appreciate where you were going with that, Hector, but I think, I don't know that it's a big needle mover, you know, and honestly, I don't know. It would be hard to say how often it would get applied should we choose to enforce it, but my guess would be, it would be probably limited instances of any applications of discounts, but at least it's available.
And what kind of discount are we talking about? Brenda, did you get any feedback from other municipalities as to what kind of summer watering rates for overusage?
What is yours?
I mean,
Do you remember?
I can't remember the exact wording.
Are you talking about percentage, Colin?
yeah, I mean, I think I missed the meeting where this was first started. I think I was out of town at the time, and my question to Patrick had been, are there residents that are asking for this? Like, what precipitated this discussion in the first place? And Patrick, I believe you said yes. You had residents that were, you know, so then I'm on board, but I still don't know what that means. Like, what's the dollar amount that we'd be giving up? Is it going to be detrimental to our, yeah, right.
Okay, so
Cause I wanna do something nice, but I
the
don't wanna
concept
do it.
is, no matter what, everyone pays for 100% of the water that goes through their water meter.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what the summer watering discount tries to aim at is some acknowledgement that 100% of the water that goes through the water meter does not go down the drain and end up at the treatment plant.
Mhm.
Nonetheless, the summer water discount still aims to accomplish that 100% of the water that goes down the drain and gets treated is also billed.
Okay.
So the calculation that's programmed in here is to figure out that delta of how much extra water are people using, say in Q3 versus Q1 or Q2. The presumption that that's being, or the assumption that that's being used for lawn watering or gardening or car washing. And that therefore the logic is then there's not a need to pay sewer on that metered water. They're still paying for all of the water, but they're just not paying for the sewer on that delta. It was Sussex that I had a conversation with the administrator at Sussex about this, must have been 3-ish years ago. And I want to say it equated to like maybe a 10% count on the discount on the sewer bill during those months or whatever.
Yeah, they're on their bill, it states for the months of June through September, residential customers may receive a credit for the sewer volume charge if their water volume is more than 110% of the volume in May. If usage is more than 110%, this sewer usage will be capped at 110% of the May volume.
Okay,
So basically.
I would be comfortable with that wording, yeah, absolutely.
New construction that have to water their grass and all that.
Yeah, or even, you know, existing homes that, you know,
Like
want
green grass.
garden and water their lawns and but it offers a reasonable concession, I think. It doesn't seem to pose any financial jeopardy to the utility.
Yeah.
The trick is, so if we did again, I just want to make sure that I'm really clear in understanding that if we, let's say we did the same thing that Sussex is doing. That goes across 2 billings for us.
That's the last month of the second
Yeah.
quarter and all of the third quarter.
Right, so you got third quarter and then, yeah, the last month, or the first month of the fourth quarter, right? Because you went June.
No, June is the last month of the second quarter, and July, August, September is third quarter.
Yep.
So it'd be second, third quarter.
Right.
Compared to,
And your
And-
understanding is
First
that workforce is gonna be able to handle that.
yep.
And you can,
But-
and you can
We
just.
practiced and we put in like a whole year just to test it and see what it did.
So you're not gonna be able to use that language though, because we don't bill
No,
monthly.
because we don't bill
so-
monthly,
So
so
you
it
can't
would,
use May, you're gonna have to
Yeah.
use the previous
Nope.
year's quarter.
correct, yeah.
And
I was just gonna add a little more background, so during the whole implementation of the water project and the development of the policy by the board at that time. People asked to keep their wells. That was a no, and then. Okay, if you meet certain criteria is where that landed. Many people, including people on existing homes, and I actually. Remember this from the water main expansion project, which was only to people with existing properties, not the new construction component of it. But there were people who really wanted the option to be able to get a second water meter that would be the deduct meter. It was reviewed at the time, and again, this would have been 2 or 3 years ago. And it was just, the capital cost to the homeowner wouldn't necessarily make sense, but if someone wanted to do it, I guess. But then there's kind of the admin hassle of 2 different meters in the system. The both meters get a base meter charge, all this stuff that just makes it weird. It's all driving at still trying to calculate, they're paying 100% of the water that goes through the meter and 100% of the water that goes down the drain. And they're not paying the sewer on the difference. So the new softwares have just evolved to a point where they can kind of automate that stuff kind of with a click of,
Yeah.
Do you wanna do it or not?
Deduct meters too, but I think it's just easier, like you said, the cost to the homeowner for
Right.
that would be a lot.
even from the standpoint of a meter, the install cost from Sussex Utility on that is over $300 per meter. They have to be changed every 10 years, they have to be calibrated, da, 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 da. So it seems like this is a pretty low effort implementation of something that's been asked for along the way.
Right. I think the one challenge, I think the big challenge here is going to be having that baseline data, because as we all know, the transition and the billing through the new utility software has been a little less than silky smooth. So I know there was a number of estimated billings along the way. So it might be in reality another year before we
Right.
can confidently
data.
have.
Well, do we have those problems worked out now, Brenda? You feel confident?
They are. I
Like,
feel much better. We had our readings done last week. And, there's still a handful of things out there.
Yeah.
But much more confident.
So what if I propose something along the lines of only offering the summer watering discount, rate change for July, August, and September? And making that baseline based off of 110% of your April, May, June bill. Because we can't go back a year, because we know that was
Right.
not an accurate reflection of actual water use. But what if we just, if you wanted to do it, I mean, we could also push it off until next year. But I think if we restricted it just to July, August, and September, which is a billing period, and we looked at the previous billing period immediately prior to that, and not look back at a year ago or last summer, I think that would be the only way that we could do it this year.
I think that would be a good compromise. And then, at some point, we could consider monthly utility billing. there's some admin work involved, but, there's probably an argument to be made for that as well. It's a little easier to catch things when they go sideways as opposed to getting a 3-month chunk of data and then going, well, I don't know, I guess that looks right, you know? I think.
Now
those-
that we take billing online, that would also be something that.
Well, and that I believe is we're going to be able to pay those online. Starting with this billing cycle, correct?
Correct.
Did I not pay last month or last quarter? I thought we did. I did.
You did ACH.
Oh, I did. Okay.
I did. You take it out. That
How easy is it to convert from quarterly to monthly? In the new system?
To change 90 days to 30.
Okay. So that could be done too.
But she's still mailing water bills.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
she,
but-
and so you're tripling your postage costs.
You're-
I mean.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting we do that now. I'm
And
just
it's
saying
Once
that-
more
effective, right?
people get
Yeah,
signed
oh,
up
yeah.
for e-bills and doing things, you know. Yeah.
we're gonna add.
Well, we went through the deduct meter thing in 2006 and 2007. And some people wanted it, and so when we pointed out that they would have to pay for the meter.
Yep.
And
And the
all the
installation.
installation and
It's
stuff,
expensive,
that kind of went away.
Yeah, I think when Ben and when we looked at it, we thought it was gonna cost the homeowner
Yeah.
$1,500 or so.
Doesn't work.
It's like well, you'd really
Not
have
using
to
that much water.
take a long time to make that back.
And we didn't have the software that you have now, that 110% sounds pretty reasonable.
I like your suggestion. I mean, that's a good way to get it going at least, right?
It's a compromise.
Mhm.
Yeah, well,
Ben, what do you think?
no, one security.
I agree, it'd be nice to get something started. My personal opinion is it's still nice, a nice thing to implement, to acknowledge some of the comments that were brought up all along the way of the whole water expansion project. It'd be nice to kind of close the loop and let those folks know, okay, we didn't forget about you. But it sounds like it would need to be revisited next year also, just to see that the data made sense and the quarters chosen made sense, et cetera.
I'm okay with that. I just don't wanna see us keep kicking the can down the road. Make a decision and go with it, and then like Ben says, in a year review it,
Mhm.
what happens, but I think Pauline's suggestion is, we get it started.
Yeah.
We're not kicking it down.
Quarter for July,
Right.
August, September. We could probably start that this year, right? And then look at it next year,
Yeah.
and then if, maybe we go month to month next year, if it's possible.
That increases the mailing cost though.
But next year you could also do the 2 quarters, you know. You could do it.
Yeah, we could divide it up, yeah, right, and add June into.
Yeah.
All right,
Just-
well. I would make that motion then, that the board authorize the village clerk to implement. See, I still don't have a number as to what percentage.
Right.
Thought it was
Well,
up to 10.
No.
It was a 10% discount based on
So
110%.
let me just say,
Right.
this is maybe a misconception here. There is no discounted percent.
No.
No.
It's that they're not getting billed for
So they're not getting
certain
billed
portion
anything over 110.
of the previous.
Okay,
Whatever.
so we need to be really clear in the motion on that. So, let me think this through. So what I want to say is that the village clerk will analyze the second quarter billing for all water users in the village of Lannon in April, May, and June. So how does that work then? In July, August, September, so at the end of September, what you have to do is you have to not charge sewer for anything over 110% of the usage for the second quarter. Right, so when you sit down in September and send out bills what the software has to do is compare second quarter with
Second
third
to
quarter
third quarter.
and negate the billing for anything over 110% of the second quarter.
Of the second quarter.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry, I had to work that through myself a little bit. All right, so that's my motion. Should I restate that?
No.
Okay.
I'll second that. Nope.
Okay, we have a motion, a second discussion, Mr. Gilmore.
I have a question for a large residential complex like Rock Point. Are there individual bills that go to each tenant in each unit?
No, it goes to each building. Each building is used
Okay,
or is built.
so if we have a tenant who basically just runs the water and runs up for that building over 110%, they would be eligible for participation in this program?
It would be very challenging,
It
I
would be
think, if
hard.
you saw some of the usage numbers for these buildings, it would be, I mean, somebody would really have to be aggressively using.
Okay, I've not
I
seen.
mean, I see where you're driving at.
But yeah, if
But-
it's used, if it's normal usage compared, then you're not really.
But if they're
getting that
gonna
much,
water
but-
in there, how do we do that, or how do we address that? How are we gonna? Address that if Rockland Village, because they have 21 accounts, right?
My intuition,
But their usage would have to be
yeah,
110% more of what the previous quarter was, so they
But-
have to really use.
Right, but how do you
Right.
aggregate those to a single number to get that 110? Or do you?
so the bills at Rock Point are paid by the management company, not the individuals, right?
Right.
Okay.
By building?
By building, exactly. So my intuition is this, that we implement this for the village of Lannon. And I highly doubt that anybody in Rock Point is gonna go, oh, look, I could take a longer shower. Doesn't matter to them. They have no dog in that fight. They don't care. If they're wasting water, they're wasting water now. They're not gonna start in July. So I just don't see how it applies, because all things being equal, they'll be eligible for it, but I doubt that they're going to make use of it, because even if they water, I don't think that they're gonna hit that 110% differential.
But they are
Based on
built-
the high usage of, the low usage of grass and the high usage of people. I don't think it's gonna fluctuate.
I'm actually I was thinking the other way. And I was hoping that it might help to encourage them to actually water and keep the grass in good condition. In the community. But I don't know.
Well, then, I'm gonna play devil's advocate, how do we deal with land in the states?
Well, that's again a third circumstance, because they're a single meter
Right.
billing.
It's the same
So-
thing, if their water use was more than 110%
Yeah,
in Q3 compared to Q2.
Yeah.
Then anything beyond that, they're just not getting billed on the sewers.
and I'm gonna
Okay.
let you ask your question now too, if you, it's a little out of procedure, but.
Jody, our administrator, divides up the water bill to each of us
Equally.
By building.
by building, and we just pay it.
Yeah.
So, for example, I do a lot of watering, but, I don't think I'm charged for the outside faucet,
Right,
because that would be for the building,
right. And you're at Rock Point, right?
yes.
Yeah, so I think the outside spigots are
Built.
before the deduct meters for each of the individual units.
Oh,
So they have a meter into the building, it's metered use to the entire building, but in between that meter and the deduct meters, that's where the exterior watering sources.
Yeah.
Get hit.
There's no way that anybody is going to be using extensive watering over there.
Right.
They're all entitled.
Let the record show.
I love her.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of different circumstances where, so I think I think we're all satisfied with.
I don't think it can go too far wrong, and I think that as part of that motion, that maybe we should also state that we would like to revisit this in the first quarter of next year to see how we feel, because if there is a special circumstance, it will show itself on this 2024 test.
Yeah.
So
maybe the motion would be to do this for a trial period of 1 year to commence with the third quarter of this year
2024.
using Q2 billing data and to be reviewed again sometime Q1 of 2025.
you said it better than me. Thank you, Patrick.
Okay, does somebody want to second that? Oh, it was, okay, good. All right. Any further discussion? No, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Discussion of possible action on payment of the bills. For those that were not here, we do not have a full finance committee. So we will be approving the bills at the board level this evening. So you should all have one of the finance committee packets here. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to review them or not. Have any questions? Brenda, did you want to point out any
You know,
unusual
everything,
items?
everything is pretty basic this month. The Catalyst LLC, the assessor's fees, that is 2 quarters worth, so that one is why that one is a little bit higher. But everything else is pretty routine. The insurance bill, obviously, renewal takes effect April 1st, so that billing is also in there. For the insurance, and then we did get the fire contract. Bill for the next quarter.
This BSN Sports,
That's
that's for the painting the field.
yeah, it's.
Do we get reimbursed by the teams?
No.
Not for
No?
the,
With
not
their
for
fee?
that, but it's kind of part of their payment. for
It is part of theirs, okay.
Motion to approve the bill list.
We have a motion and a second to approve the bills as presented. Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries to pay the bills. Item 19, engineers report.
Nothing further.
Item 20, attorney report.
I have point of information question. Last month, we discussed the renewal of the insurance. And I'm wondering, for the benefit of the board members, whether that was brought to a conclusion.
Yes.
Yes.
Other than that, I have no report.
President's report, couple of things, architecture continues to move forward, with some of the streetscape plans. I did receive some updated information from them, but I have not had an opportunity to speak with Blake yet, but, so I'll share more later, but that is moving along still, on the background level. I am also going to be having a meeting with a company later this month that offers code enforcement options. As you all know already, we are in the process, and you have in your packet an outline of our process we've been trying to establish here for doing that in-house with our own people and resources. But I got an email. I thought it was worth looking at or meeting with those folks, so we'll see what they have to offer. Lastly, as I said earlier, welcome and congratulations to the newly elected trustees. And a big thank you to Mr. Nellis for his 12 years of service on this board and the planning commission. He's been an invaluable resource. I think I doubt anybody really understands how much work goes into being that public works chair. It is far and away the most demanding assignment on this board. So thank you very much. All right, these last three items, I'm gonna read these into the record. We'll take a roll call vote on each of these items individually as to whether or not we move into closed session. Item 22, may convene into a closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85 sub 1 sub G for the purpose of conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is likely to become involved in with respect to 1, the unpaid water bill for the property in the village of Lannon, more commonly known as Lannon Estates, located at approximately 20179 West Good Hope Road, Lannon, Wisconsin, 53046, and 2, the status of the litigation against those individuals who failed to timely connect to the installed municipal water mains. So for item number 22, I'd like to do a roll call vote for a closed session.
Need a motion.
Yeah, I do.
I make a motion that we convene into a closed session for item number 22.
I'll second.
We have a motion, a second, roll call vote.
Blake,
Yay.
Nellis,
Yay.
Palatrola, Roby,
Yes.
Yates,
Yay.
Grenier.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, we are unanimous there. Item number 23. May convene into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute Section 19.85 sub 1 sub E to deliberate or negotiate the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business, namely to consider the status on the sale of a village-owned but lot located on West Good Hope Road, LANV 00734-52003. Whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, and 2, potential negotiations with Verizon with respect to installment of microwave dishes on the side of the existing equipment shelter.
I make a motion that we convene into closed session for item number 23.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote.
Blake,
Yay.
Nellis.
Yay.
Palatrola, Roby, Yates,
Yes.
Grenier.
Yes.
And item number 24, may convene into a closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85 sub 1 sub G for the purpose of conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning the village's implementation of an ordinance violation procedure to be adopted by the body. And I will say, I don't. Victor, do you feel that we need to continue to pursue this item? We did discover that this has already been approved by the board back in September, correct?
You can withdraw it.
Yeah. I don't know whether we need to
Yeah.
discuss this topic, so.
Do I make a motion to withdraw item number 24 from the agenda?
Sounds great.
I'll second that.
Victor?
One less.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to remove item number 24 carries. We will convene into closed session.